Hi there, and welcome to the meeting two of TOEFL training. My name is Chandra Fauzi. You may call me as Mr. Chan or Mr. Fauzi, and I'll be guiding you through this session. So, quick questions for anyone's watching this video. Did you know there's more than one kind of TOEFL test? Did you know that? Yes, a lot of people are surprised when they hear that. And honestly, knowing the difference makes a big difference when it comes to preparing effectively. So, in this session, we're going to unpack that. We'll look at the different types of TOEFL, understand how the listening section works, and I'll give you a few strategies to help you boost your score. So, without further ado, let's begin. All right, so here's the roadmap for today. By the end of this session, you should be able to first recognize the different types of standardized English test because there are many types. The second, you should be able to understand the structure and features of the TOEFL test. Third, you should be able to apply some practical tips for tackling the listening sections because a lot of people think that listening section is very challenging, and I somewhat agree to that. Well, and if you're feeling a bit unsure about how TOEFL works, don't worry. We're going to break it down step by step. So keep watching. Let's zoom out for a moment. Okay, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture. So there are quite a few English proficiency tests out there. Maybe you have heard about IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, or PTE. They all serve different purposes and use different scoring systems. For instance, IELTS uses a band score from 1 to 9. Yes, only 1 to 9. But TOEFL PBT, paper-based test, goes from 310 to 677. Differently, TOEIC scores range from 10 to 990. Really? So that's how different they are. So depending on where you're going, maybe it is university abroad. Let's say you want to go to United Kingdom or United States or Australia. Maybe it is, it tells you that you should be able to take which test that suits you the best. And that's why it is crucial to understand the options. Now let's talk about TOEFL specifically. There are two main types you gotta know about TOEFL. The first is TOEFL PBT, and the second is TOEFL iBT. Now, TOEFL PBT stands for Paper Based Test. It is a bit old school, and all the questions are multiple choice. There are sections of grammar called structure. I think you have heard about it. And you won't find any speaking or writing tasks here. So, no note taking allowed. Differently, TOEFL IBT, or the internet based test, is more modern and widely used now. It includes speaking and writing. And you know what? It even has integrated tasks. You can also take notes during the test. So the format you'll take really depends on your institutions or test center. So make sure you know which one applies to you. Next, let's take a closer look at the overall structure. We're going to talk about a TOEFL structure test now, especially for the paper-based test version. So there are three parts in TOEFL structure, PBT test. The first one is listening comprehension. It consists of 50 questions in about 30 to 35 minutes. The second part is structure and written expressions. There are 40 questions in 25 minutes. Very short. And the last one is reading comprehension. There are 60 questions in 55 minutes. That's a lot of times for you and a lot of questions as well. And each part is timed, and each one requires different approach. And if you've never heard or never tried a time test before, it might feel intense at first, but believe me, with a bit of practice, you can catch up. Now, let's just focus on the listening part first, because this is where many students struggle. The listening section in paper-based tests has three types or three parts. So the first one is the short dialogues, second one is long conversations, and the third one is academic lectures or talks. So you'll answer about 30 questions in total. And here's the catch: the audio is only played once. Yep, you heard me. There is no second chance. So it is important to train your ear to stay focused from the start to finish. What a challenging test, isn't it? So, how do we get the question is, how do we get better at listening? So, here's the good news: you don't need expensive materials to improve your listening skills. So, you can just improve by listening to the following things, like, for instance, watching news uh, in English, like BBC or CNN. You can find it a lot on a lot of websites or YouTube. You can listen to English songs or podcasts such as Joe Rogan, yes, and then you can also use subtitles during watching a movie, or try to ask AI to do the transcriptions for you. And then you can adjust the speed of the videos. Let's say you can go slower, then you get faster over time. So if you do this daily, even 10 to 15 minutes, it'll help you a lot. So the more you expose your ear to English, the more natural it becomes. So again, practice is the mother of skill. Now, what about the listening tips during the test? So imagine yourself in a TOEFL listening test. So these are the tips that you have to remember. Now, once you are in the test, several tips that you really need to remember so that you can perform better. So the first one, you got to read the answer options before the audio starts. So you read first, just read them at glance, and this will give you a preview of what to listen for. And then the second one is pay close attention to the intonation. How something said can tell you more than just the words. Pay attention to the speaker's intonations. And then next, mark your answers quickly. Okay? Do not just second guess too much. Just give it a mark. So I think this is the answer. So just do that. And then next, if you're not sure, choose the most different sounding options. It's often the correct answer. All right? That's pretty simple. But you would be surprised because how many people forget to apply these tips under pressure. So try to understand these tips, okay? And we're going to practice this one in the next session. What you need to do is just try to understand how to apply these tips. Right, so now we come to the last part of this video. So, to wrap things up, here are five key takeaways from today's video. First, you gotta know the format. So, PBT and IBT are different, so you gotta prepare accordingly. Second, understand the structure. Yes, the structure is very important. So, you have to have this mental map what the test sequence gonna be like. It's gonna start from listening structure, or whether it's gonna start from the reading ones. Okay, so you gotta understand the structure first, and then next you gotta build your listening habits. The one that I mentioned before, watching news, listening to podcasts, watching movies with subtitles. All of them will help you tremendously. And then next, use smart strategies. Always read the options before you listen, and pay attention to the intonations and the tone of the speakers. And then the last one, you got to be very consistent because a little effort every day, believe me, a little effort every day beats the cramming the night before. So I think that's all. Thanks for listening to the session. If this helped you, feel free to share it with your friends or classmates. And if you like more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe or follow my channel. So until next time, keep practicing and good luck with your TOEFL journey. Bye.